Hey, what is going on, guys? This is SMEB Reviews, and it's time to take a look at the newest studio album from indie band Walk the Moon, What If Nothing? Let's get to it. What If Nothing seems to have a lot of 80s influence. That is not just limited to new wave, which a lot of indie bands are wanting to try to emulate right now. There's a lot of nostalgia towards the 80s right now, but it's not just new wave, which is mainly what they're trying to emulate, these indie bands. In this, honestly, there's a lot of that new wave sounds, but also a lot of the 80s pop sound, and so even some punk sounds that were obviously before the 80s, like the 70s punk sounds. And it's a very different album. It's very experimental, I'd say. It takes a lot of influences from a lot of different areas, and really it creates kind of an interesting work. It's not to say that it's the best album that I've ever heard, and it does have quite a few flaws, but also it's just so intriguing. And every time I listen to it, I just have every time I'm like, what do I think about this? It's been a very hard album to review because every listen I get something new out of it because every song kind of fits into this different genre, whether it's just pop and even modern pop. I'm not saying that all of the influences is from the 80s, but whether it's modern pop or that punk sound or that new wave sound or that indie rock sound, all of those sounds all are present in this album. And it's very interesting, honestly. I hear influences from anything like Genesis to the 1975 even, and it's very interesting to hear this album. It's got a lot of different diverse sounds, but unfortunately, because there are so many different influences, some of it kind of has a hard time meshing as a whole and sounding like one cohesive work. Honestly, this album seemed to be extremely focused on the music and not the lyrics. And that was okay because honestly, some of the music is very good and I actually really enjoy some of the music. But it does still give very thin lyrics. All of the lyrics do come off as without very much substance. They all seem to be talking about a breakup, and while that's a topic that is very cliched in modern music or any music in general, it's something that doesn't really bother me too much just because it is such a dominant topic just in people's daily lives, and so it didn't really bother me too much. But overall, the lyrics just do not hold much weight. It focuses too much on genericness and often just lyrics that don't seem to really have too much of a meaning. Yes, the music is very experimental and takes a lot of different turns, but the lyrics are not the highlight of this album. A further complaint is this weird sense that none of these songs have very good hooks. Yes, honestly, some of these songs, while listening to them, could be very catchy. Once you're done listening to them, often these songs are forgotten and don't seem to hold much weight. I listen to them over and over, and still, after repeated listens, some of these songs don't seem to get stuck in my head. There are a couple songs, I will admit. One Foot and Headphones, honestly, both of those songs are extremely catchy, but it doesn't, most of the songs do not have that hook to really help you remember the song. A lot of them are just extremely forgettable, and that's not to say that they're bad. Honestly, when listening to them, I will frequently think how good it is, but when I'm thinking that, it also comes along with the thought of this song does not seem quite familiar just because nothing about the song really sticks with you. None of these songs have that staying factor, and honestly, often the songs will have many different styles throughout the verse, the chorus, and the bridge, which I know they're breaking away from just pop cliches of having just the four chords and everything's the same, just maybe a little extra instruments or something in the chorus, which is good, but it also gives a hard time for the listener because a lot of these songs cannot get stuck in your head or really be memorable, and that gives the whole album a real sense of just it comes across without much staying qualities, and that's a problem for this album. Now, I do want to talk about some specific songs. Headphones, honestly, like I said, is a pretty decent track. It's got a pretty good hook. It's very good musically because it's got a chunky sound. It sounds very punk. But then we get to the lyrics, and honestly, some people have seemed to praise this song, whereas I am going to differ from them. I think that everything except for the lyrics is actually very good, and even the style that the lyrics or the vocalist does, it sounds very good, but the lyrics themselves just do not have any weight. The lead line in this is "I can take a beating like a good pair of headphones," and honestly, that line in and of itself just is a hard thing for me to listen to. And while some people may not find those little things grating to them, that that song in particular just grates on me because every line seems to just be kind of awkward and cliche, and I don't really personally enjoy most of the lyrics. I really enjoy the vocals, I really enjoy everything, just not the actual lyrics that are being said, and that's a problem with a couple of these songs. One Foot, again, kind of falls in that category. It's very cliched. Now, I do enjoy that song a little more. It's cliche, but at least it's enjoyable lyrically, and every aspect of it I do think is good. That was the lead single, but again, it's just the lyrics kind of take away from the overall sound of the song, which is actually pretty happy and pretty good. I enjoy the sound of the song. It just unfortunately the lyrics just take away, and that is a curse from for a lot of these songs. Sound of Awakening is probably the worst track. It sounds like a cheap 1975 rip-off song. It's just got a lot of synthesizer and a lot of effects on the voice, and the lyrics are nothing to talk about either. It's probably the worst track, but even then, it's not awful. It's just bad. It's just not the best song I've ever heard. It's very middle of the road, and so that's the one redeeming quality. All of these songs, just because of their good instrumentation, kind of pull it all together. I honestly think that the vocals are good. It's just that those lyrics and the kind of mix match of different genres that kind of take away from this album. But then again, by the end of the album, you can kind of hear those genres kind of blend. It is kind of jarring at the first like couple songs. They all kind of sound different, but eventually they do kind of come together, and with repeated listens, I think it kind of becomes a little more cohesive. It's not an awful album, it's just not their best work, and I think that it could be a lot more. It just wasn't quite there, especially in the lyric department. That's why I'm going to have to give this album a 7 out of 10. Thank you guys so much for watching. It really means a lot. Please leave any comments of anything you want me to check out. I do look at all of my comments, so please leave me any comments of albums you want me to check out. It really means a lot that you guys watch my videos. Thank you guys, and I'll see you guys later.